welcome to the KDFL Dynasty Football Podcast. It's the Dynasty Podcast with the league to follow along with. I'm Brett Steele, and joining me this week, Mr. Jonathan Detroit Haynes. How are you, sir?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
Doing well. And back this week, it is Mr. Zen himself, Matt Smith. How are you, sir?
I feel fantastic. Had a nice sabbatical. Did some Aaron Rodgers events. I'm feeling spectacular. Life is good right now. That's all I can say.
All right. Well,
Nice.
take that beautiful mood with the great benefits we offer here at the KDFL Entertainment Channel. And why don't you get us started with the KDFL Week 4 results?
All right. Welcome back, everybody. We start with the undefeated 3-0 Renegades traveling to the Cross Vegas Gamblers. David Montgomery started the week out strong on Thursday night for the Renegades, leading all scorers on his team with 34 points, along with Swift having another solid game with 18 points. But the rest of the team struggled to get going. The Gamblers had strong performances from DJ Moore, rising back with 27 points, and Brandon Ayuk scoring 21. Major mismanagement decision for the Gamblers, starting defensive lineman Nick Bosa and Cam Jordan scoring a combined 5 points, while the great Khalil Mack scored 51 points on the bench against the beloved Raiders. Gamblers have to be shaking their heads as they lose this one 215-200. Renegades stay undefeated as the Gamblers drop to 1-3.
Next, you have yours truly's Elkview River Rats, undefeated, thanks to a stat correction, going against the team he said might be the worst team in the history of the KDFL, the Wake Forest Lumberjacks. I took my team down there looking all happy, thinking we're going to stay undefeated. But it was a terrible offensive performance for my team. My offense was even outscored by my defense this week. The Wake Forest Lumberjacks going strong off their rookie class, just rookies all over the place, scoring monster points. De'Von Achane, I got that right.
Nicely done.
Bijan having a big game. Puka, monster game. The Lumberjacks take me down 262-199, and we are both 3-1 on the season now.
All right. The undefeated Sinners at 3-0 host the 1-2 Kanawha County Kings, and it is more of the same for the Sinners as Diggs leads all scorers with 36. Josh Jacobs has a nice comeback game with 28 of his own against the Chargers for the Kings. And surging MVP candidate, you heard it here, Brock Purdy scores 22 for the Kings, but it's not enough as the ageless Bobby Wagner puts in 32 of his own for the Sinners. They stay undefeated, besting the Kings 236-213.
All right. Next up, we go to Dogtown, where the 1-2 Dobermans host the winless Mega Powers. Both teams looking for a W. Anthony Richardson and Nico Collins continuing to impress in the early season, scoring 32 and 36 points respectively for the Mega Powers. Dobermans get monster performances from future MVP CMC with 49 points and Josh Allen with 41 points. These performances proved to be too much for the Mega Powers to come back on as they lose a high-scoring matchup, 287-258. Dobermans move to 2-2 as the Mega Powers go 0-4, but leave with a moral victory.
Next, we have a Thunder Buddy matchup of the South Hills Evil Empire versus the Marmette Midnight Riders. As they're both 1-2, trying to get to 500. South Hills reigning 3 out of 4 champs. They had to start Jordan Mason at running back, Matt Breida at running back. Some say the depth is pretty bad on this team.
Yeah.
Some say. Midnight Riders finally get a monster game from Justin Fields, 31 points. Also Justin Jefferson, 27. And the Marmette Midnight Riders take down the Evil Empire 248-198.
Right. We finish up with our Week 4 game of the week. It's the battle of the 5-year reunion of the expansion teams. The Hurricane Wampus Cats host the Nocatee Zen Masters, and the Nocatee Zen Masters come out firing with Lamar getting back to true form with 30 points. However, that is counterfeited by Mark Andrews catching 2 of those touchdowns for 25 points of his own. A.J. Brown pours in another 39 for the Wampus Cats. And even though the Zen Masters have found a new rookie phenom in Devon Witherspoon with a pick 6 and 2 sacks of his own for 32 points, it is not enough as the Wampus Cats put out an impressive 291 points to the Zen Masters 222. Wampus Cats improved to 2-2, and that is it for your week 4 results. Real quick, we'll throw it up on the screen here now. Let's see, Detroit with another great week at 5-1. Tim, by fault of picking his own team that he suckered me into, drops me and Matt to 4-2. We both dropped to 13-11 on the season. And if you're looking for NFL picks, here is not the place to go, as the only one right was this guy right here, picking Buffalo -3. The Stealing Money parlay off to a rough start, lost by 0.5 point. Thank you, Bengals. And as we fade out of here, we can look at the KDFL results versus projection. The Lumberjacks bested their projection the most, outscoring their projections by 53 points. That continues the streak of the highest overreacher winning, and it also continues the streak of the biggest underachiever losing, as the Evil Empire missed by 33 points, and it is the Zen Masters that came the closest to their projections with 7.2.
Yes.
That is it, boys. That is it.
And I just want to say one thing. The Kings owner last week said I would lose to the Wampus Cats by 77 points. I only lost by 69 points. So
He knows
close.
nothing. He knows
much
nothing.
better.
Exactly. I love it. I love it. Okay, so let's see where we're going here. Let's look. All right, let's talk about what we saw last week on the NFL field. We'll start with that Thursday night game. There's honestly not a lot to talk about it, but Detroit, I'll let you have this. There's not a lot from a fantasy standpoint to talk about besides the same old Montgomery Gibbs debate.
Yeah.
But talk about your Lions real quick.
Man, they're looking good. At defense, been pretty strong the last 2 weeks. I think we had 7 sacks against you guys.
I mean, it's in the past. I'm not here to talk about the
Yeah,
past. There's our first clue.
well-
Thank you. Bink. Mark McGuire going on the board.
And I think we had 5 against the Packers. We held them to 27 yards rushing. I think they only carried the ball 12 times. Lions are looking good. Now we're getting Jameson Williams back. Probably take him a couple weeks to get up to speed. This team's going to be dangerous. Laporta's looking like a monster.
Yeah.
Some say you should have drafted him as a fantasy tight end, but you take phone calls from people that don't know anything apparently and decided not to draft him.
Look here.
But
we could talk about that. Real quick though, I want your outlook on Jameson Williams. Because he is a river rat. He is heavy draft capital from the Lions, right? What are your expectations for him? Rest of this fantasy.
My expectations versus another owner in this league, the Renegades, will probably be completely different. I don't know, man. This guy, during camp, he was dropping a lot of balls. So there's been issues with that. Even last year when he got in, I know he was recovering from that bad injury he had in the championship game in college. He didn't look the greatest. So I don't know. My expectations, I think he's probably going to be he should be a number 2 receiver. I don't know. I think he might end up like a number 3 receiver this year. I hope I'm wrong. I hope he's the deep threat that we all think he can be, but I'm a little worried about the guy. I'll be honest.
Matt, what do you think?
There's too many mouths to feed in Detroit. I mean, until the guy's actually on the field a lot, I don't have high hopes for him this year. But my one note for this game is Lions look great, but this game right here shows me why this might be the worst fantasy football season ever. The Lions have so many great potential fantasy stars that, Jahmyr Gibbs drafted 12th overall. No one does a damn thing on the Lions except for David freaking Montgomery scoring 30 some points. Goff did nothing. Did anybody else on the Lions do anything? fantasy wise on Thursday
Lap-
night?
No.
Laporta had a few, right? Laporta 9.6. That's really not much.
Okay, yeah, it's just this whole season that game is a summary of this fantasy season so far. Who had David
St.
Montgomery
Brown,
going anywhere high, and now
St. Brown had like 16 points.
yeah, I guess
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
respectable.
Here's the thing with Laporta, because I think he's looked incredible. Okay, he's the tight end 2 behind Hawkinson. He's 2 points behind Hawkinson. He is only on the season. He is about 4 points on average per week ahead of Darren Waller as the tight end 13. So it's like he's doing great, but it's not that position. Just 4 points a week. I mean, that does add up over the course of a season. Don't get me wrong, but trust me, I have, because Kendra Miller and Tank Bigsby were the 2 I took before Laporta. So I'm still like, and my tight end room is very, very weak, but it's tough to get any substantial value from it.
Laporte is the one tight end there. Like I think Kincaid is screwed until him and Dawson Knox they're together. So any team that has the 2 tight ends, no one's going to dominate. So that's the one good thing Laporte has going for him. And it's a good offense, great offense, possibly.
And you know how I am? I'm like the devil's advocate. I'm king of it. Like I can't stand to go with the trends a lot. And this whole thing of an Iowa tight end is going to flourish. I was like, well, it's got to stop eventually. Nope. It just kept on. Like, I don't know why I fight the trend for no reason some of the time, but I do. All right. So Detroit has, where they have the Panthers?
Yeah.
Panthers.
Got Carolina at home.
So keep on rolling lines. Okay. Real quick, we'll touch base in London. It was a beatdown with for the Falcons, the Jags. But here's the thing, and me and Matt talked about it. The Jags win easily, but it's the same second week in a row because they did against the Lions. They had the blown coverage with Laporta. Speaking of the devil, they had the blown coverage. Laporta got the touchdown. This time it happened with Calvin Ridley. Besides that, that was Lawrence's only touchdown, correct?
Yeah. I mean,
that was the Jags' only touchdown on offense.
Yeah, the Jags are still struggling to click all the way on offense. I do think the offense looked a lot better last week. Trevor looked great. Trevor did look great for the most part. If he's out there running, if he's running like that, and then all the playmakers they have. But again, they got too many people too on offense. It's hard to determine who's going to go off each week. That's why I'm happy I have Trevor versus any other player on that team, because even ETN, that's one reason I got rid of him. Might have been a terrible trade, but there's a lot of people in for the Jaguars. The Falcons thing, they have to get a new QB if they want to be fantasy relevant at all. That Ritter is not good.
Relax.
Like he's not good.
Relax. He's terrible.
Relax.
He's not
I'm
good
not defending him, but this is his. I mean, he's played 4 more games than Bryce Young. Are you guys calling for Dalton to come in? Like, no.
Yeah. Bryce.
Hey, maybe. I mean, Jesus, what is this? No. Don't get me wrong. Let me be clear. Ritter doesn't get near the leash that Bryce Young gets. Obviously, I'm just saying. Like, I mean, that's the difference in the value of rounds of picks. You don't get near the leash.
Yeah, but Ritter has way more talent around him.
Yeah,
that's fair as well. That is a great point also.
And I think Heineke would be pretty entertaining on that offense.
I think he would be too.
Go crazy. I don't know. I don't know that they're going to give them
There's a couple of things.
They can't keep losing like that because the Falcons defense did look really good.
Yeah, and they got some shots. We talked about it. They got some shots on Lawrence that they weren't really talking about. They hit him more than I would prefer Lawrence be hit. Now, a couple things, and we're not going to spend forever on the Falcons, but people just want, like, this is the team that didn't want Lamar. If you have Lamar, that means you don't have London and you don't have Bijan, because those picks were gone for Lamar. If you wanted Deshaun Watson, those picks were gone for Deshaun Watson. If you wanted Lamar, there goes Bijan. That pick was gone. And the salary cap that improved that defense that looks so much better is gone. There's trade-offs to this. Like, they're trying to get the most. They're trying to hope that Ritter was just good enough, and it doesn't appear to be. I've seen some all-22 clips, and there are some wide-open guys, including the great Kyle Pitts, wide open a few times. And I think he's still hurt. But, I mean, obviously it's annoying to constantly talk about wanting to see from Kyle Pitts. Now, one last thing, and I'll get off of it. the big trade, and this is when the internet goes mad on us and thinks it's so easy just to have this happen. The big trade rumors that I've seen is Justin Fields, get him to Atlanta with his athleticism. He's from Atlanta. I hate when people say that because it's like that doesn't really matter. This is a business. I just said it, and I hate when people say it. But I don't know. What would be your thoughts on that? I mean,
I definitely think it'd be better, but I'm not. I
well,
don't know.
I mean, we're talking.
I think, I hadn't thought about that. You got Kyler Murray stuck in my head of him going to Atlanta.
I did do that.
Year.
I think that's out the window now.
Why? Why is that out the window?
Because the Cardinals are much better, and they're not going to be in a position. Yeah, they're much better.
I don't know when we're going to talk about the Bears, but it's a funky situation because I mean, what happens if the Bears and you have Fields, you have them go winless basically to tank for Caleb or whatever? What happens to Fields if maybe they trade him before? I don't see how you trade him though. What's the fan base going to think if you trade him in the next couple weeks?
And what teams are going to take him? There can't be that many jobs out there.
I mean, the Falcons would.
Falcons would be one. People would be clamoring, but I think that feels too maddening to me. That feels too much like fantasy football fakeness to me. That he would just, but I do think it's another situation where the team is in a different place than the quarterback. It's similar to what we talked about with the Niners and Trey Lance. This team is not in a place like the Panthers are in a place to wait on Bryce Young and let him develop and let him go through his stuff because it looks bad right now. A million quarterbacks. Trevor looked awful year one, but I mean we know what that was about. But he looked bad. The Falcons' defense is much better than what we thought it'd be so far. It's not world breaking, but it was historically awful. And that division also is forcing their hand because that division's not some. No one's going to extremely run away with it. So we'll see. I mean, I've seen what was it, a third or fourth in Ritter for Fields. I mean, there's a weird in the replies because everybody said no.
When you talk to the side of the microphone, sir, you're not as clear. Just let you know that.
Wow. Just know I'm still talking Falcons. It was a third, a fourth, and Ritter for Fields. Yeah. Basically, it's a sign to Chicago, tank it out the rest of the year. Go get Caleb Williams. By the way, let's hit on him real quick because I'm seeing some disturbing stuff. I don't know how much of this is true that he can make more money at USC and he won't come out unless a certain team is there to take him. That worries me.
Did I say the early podcast? I swear the stars are aligning for him to be in Vegas next year. It is coming true.
It could be.
I
think that was one of his teams.
I need to see the teams. Why would you not want to be a mega star in Vegas at the age of 22 years old or however old he is? That's got to be a short list, I would think. And if you keep some of the playmakers there,
yeah. I mean, do you think he can keep the playmakers there?
I think De'Von Achane came out today. There's a story saying that he does not want to get traded. He wants to stay on the Raiders. But I know
it is the Raiders. Okay, here's the five.
The Raiders. Go ahead. What?
Oh, it's the 5 teams: Cowboys, Raiders, Vikings, Giants, and Niners. So I mean, if that's Raiders, true, what the heck?
I mean, is there a more despised coach in the league than Josh McDaniels? And I know I hate him with a passion, but is there anyone close? Maybe the Bears head coach. I know some people are hating on him because he just seems absolutely terrible. But Josh McDaniels seems to be universally hated by players, every fan.
I would definitely say it's McDaniels for sure.
And Mark Davis getting yelled at was probably the funniest thing I've seen all year by
Raiders. That was great.
What are the Chargers doing? I can't believe the decision to put him right there.
That is incredible.
If I'm Mark Davis, I'm like, I'm not sitting right here. Y'all crazy.
Man, that Raiders game seeing that with Mark Davis and then that late hit on Justin Herbert is the greatest things I've ever seen.
You mean
not when he got injured, but when he got hit out of bounds.
The number 1 fantasy quarterback, Justin Herbert?
Yeah.
Whatever.
Crown him.
Yeah,
7 touchdowns, 1 interception.
That's what happens. That's what happens when you play teams like the Raiders twice a year. So.
All right, let's go back. Okay. So it's at Falcons Jags. We'll move on from there. The Bills are back in full form. You saw Josh Allen with 5 total touchdowns. He looked incredible, a long ways away from that week 1. That was an obvious overreaction spot to people freaking out about that. There wasn't really much to say on that game. I believe James Cook finally got in the end zone, we said.
He got in the end zone, but he only had like 20-some yards. They didn't really need him, I guess, for that. They killed the Dolphins. That was probably the least game that was the least amount of touches he's had all season, but he did get in the end zone.
Okay, let's talk about that game from the other side. The Dolphins, De'Von Achane. Okay, so we're talking about 8 carries, 101 yards, and 2 touchdowns. So I want to ask you guys, we did this with CJ Stroud last week. We can pull up De'Von Achane right now. I want to know what you would give, because I'm worried about him. It's a very, very weird spot for me to be in with him, because there's not a ton of touches he's getting. But when he's getting touches, he's exploding.
It's going to increase.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely. But they have a ton of weapons on that team too. So, it's going to be limited. He's not going to be getting 30 touches, but I can see him getting at least 15 touches a game.
I don't think you want him to get, because he's not built. He's not a big guy.
Yeah. Just looking, he's 5'9", 187 pounds.
But how can you keep that guy off the field though?
Yeah, 18 carries against Denver, 8 carries against Buffalo. We're looking at 3 receptions versus Buffalo and 4 receptions versus Denver. All right, so let's value this man. I'll throw out some names. You guys tell me if you have Achane, okay? So you tell me what you would give. The first one, I would not. This is pretty obvious. You're not going to trade him for just a first, right? We agree on that?
No.
I don't know, because Matt hates running back, so I'm trying to look. I knew it.
Depends on who the team is. Is it a top 5 pick?
Early first, 2025, early first.
I don't go that far in the future. I live my life in the present day. 2024, I can discuss. Top 5, 2024, I'd probably trade him.
I think that would also be the pick, because it's no secret this is a heavy QB draft. So if your team is QB needy, that might change it. All right. No, we're okay. Let's throw out the QB needy. Let's talk about this season now, because I'm not going to talk about any more picks. Okay. Tony Pollard. Rest of this year.
This is dynasty or just
it's not. Well, okay, it is dynasty. It is dynasty. I apologize. I'm going back and forth, but I'm realizing that this is dynasty related. It has to be.
Get rid of all the old guys. Give me Achane.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So you have Achane in this situation. So
I'm keeping him.
Yeah, I'm keeping Achane.
Okay.
If he throws in Deuce Vaughn, I would be considered.
You just want to shore up that running back room. I can't believe this is the name that come up, but it is. I'm assuming that we're not moving on from Achane for Sam Laporta. I swear to God, it came up. I didn't mean to.
Depends on your team. I don't know.
I'm keeping the running back.
I think I'm keeping the running back. Yeah. DK Metcalf.
I'm keeping them.
Keeping Achane?
Yeah.
I don't know. DK's still young.
He loves his wide receivers.
Last forever. Give me DK.
And finally.
Wide receivers last forever in the league. And
that's true.
DK is built to last for eternity. With he's huge. It might be around for the next 15 years.
Clue number 2, eternity.
How old is DK?
You're also talking to a guy that has literally.
He's 25. He's 25.8 years old. I love the point.
He's still got a decent amount of time.
All right, the last one.
He's had some long runs, but I don't know. I haven't been closely watching the Dolphins games to know exactly, but I know he's had a few long runs. Take out the few long runs, I don't know what he's done. Has he been great? They're not giving him the ball that much. He's averaging 11 yards a carry. So, I mean, it's a lot of yards, but he's clearly not getting it that often. And what's the reason? Will it go way up? I don't know.
I think it's almost like the Niners before McCaffrey. It's running back. It's that tree where you just rotate people in. Now Mostert had some fumbles, and that led to Achane getting more touches in this last game. I think a game script where they're down benefits him because he's not going to be the protect the lead guy. But I also don't know about Jeff Wilson comes back eventually. I know he might just go right back down again because it's Jeff Wilson, but he does come back. So that's going to even more so crowd that running back room. But I think the last one is an interesting one. Jonathan Taylor.
I'm taking Taylor. He's a monster. I mean, that dude, he'll be back next week. He's projected points.
He could be back this week. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I mean. This week.
Yeah.
This coming week. He will be back. And the guy is an MVP running back.
Look at Detroit. I love it. Look at the brain. It's 3
we
years
don't
older.
have any idea what Achane has done so far. We're acting like this guy's the greatest thing ever because he's had 5 long
I don't
runs.
make the rankings.
And I'm the guy that always takes young players, but
I know. He's 3 years older.
Ridiculous.
Hasn't Taylor been banged up though like the last few years?
He has.
Which means he's fresh legs. He's got some fresh legs.
I mean, Achane was hurt in training camp, just for the record.
Yeah, I mean, I guess thinking about it, I definitely would take.
I mean,
Taylor.
Look at who's starting over Achane. Is it not Raheem Mostert?
Yeah.
Get out of here. Why is this guy a legend all of a sudden?
I'm telling you. Hey, we've done this 3 times now, and it's been Puka Nacua, CJ Stroud, and De'Von Achane. Eventually, next week, I promise the people a veteran player that we're going to do this with. Okay. But I've just been fascinated because I think you're handcuffed to him. I think that sounds negative. I don't mean in a negative way, but I think if this is possible, it's similar. I don't always compare to myself, but Brian Branch, that's possible. 25 points is possible. I have to throw you in now every week. I have to. Hall of Famer, HOF. Now, thanks to Christian Gonzalez's unfortunate injury, Defensive Rookie of the Year, looking good for Mr. Branch.
It's going to be Witherspoon now.
Witherspoon.
It's going to be. That dude looks like a legend. I'll be down into that. He looks great.
The Nocatee scouting system, I swear. The Nocatee scouting system.
Have you watched Brian Branch?
No, I haven't really.
Okay. Real quick, the Bears looked great against Denver, but every team's looked great against Denver. But I talked about this last week. I'm going to hit on it again. I think this is what you do with Fields. I think you let it play through Washington, Minnesota, Vegas, and the Chargers. And then you look, if you're a dynasty holder of Fields, you see what's happened. You might put him out, chop him around a little bit, and see what you can get after he runs those off. Because it might be time. Because then it gets New Orleans, Carolina, Detroit. It gets a little more. And who knows what state the Bears will be in by then.
I mean, if you're listening to you, he's going to be on the Falcons next year.
No, I didn't say he's going to be on the Falcons. That was the rumor of the main thing I saw this week.
I mean, I thought Fields played amazing the first half. The second half, he had 2 awful turnovers that basically made them lose the game.
I didn't watch any of that game.
It is fair to say. I mean, it is worth mentioning that they lost. They gave up a big lead and lost the game.
He had two very bad turnovers, which the Broncos scored on both. One of them was a fumble return for a touchdown, and the other was just a very bad interception. So yeah, he had the great first half against a team that just gave up 70 points to Tua and the Dolphins. So it's not like the Broncos are anything special. Fields is still, I don't know. But you put them in a different system, and you put them with a bunch. I don't know. The Bears have playmakers, though. I mean, they got DJ Moore now, so. But it seems like they are tanking.
Still sitting on 5 wins.
Yeah.
Old Fields, easiest player to keep track of the wins of I've ever heard of.
I know. I'd rather have Justin Fields over Jimmy G or Aiden O'Connor, though. That's a pretty easy decision for me.
I mean, you just want him. I mean, yeah, I would say. Poor Aiden O'Connell. Don't you? I mean, this poor guy.
What about Derek Carr?
Oh,
Man, I've had some notes on that game.
all right, we can jump to it. That's right here.
I don't know why Dennis Allen chose to play Carr. Carr, I mean, he threw almost every pass was either behind the line of scrimmage. I watched that whole game. I watched the Jags game at 9:30, the Saints game at 1:00.
You watched a lot of good football on Sunday.
Yeah, I did. I had Red Zone on for the 1:00 games, thankfully. Yeah. But like Carr, you could tell he was not there. He was missing on some of the plays. He did throw a deep one to Olave, almost was a touchdown. But it was not. There was no reason for him to be out there. I don't understand that decision. If he doesn't get healthy at all, like he already hasn't had a great beginning to the start. The first week he ended up with over 300 yards, but they got playmakers. They got the running backs healthy now, but if he's not healthy, it's bad. It's very bad. And Olave, I think, had 1.4 points, I think, last week. So it did not look good at all. It's not going good currently it's not going good for Derek Carr or for the Raiders. So it's both people are losing very badly in the divorce right now. But Carr is injured. I do think Carr is injured. He should not have been out on the field. Yeah. But he is Iron. Yeah. He is an Iron Man. He does not miss. He never misses games. So it was surprising he came out there.
Yeah, Matt's right because I'm looking at these stats. He was 23 of 37 for 127 yards for a 3.4 yard average.
Yeah. Alvin Kamara had 13 catches for like 30-some yards.
Yes.
Yeah. That's insane.
My favorite part of the game it had two favorite parts. It is the same thing where Lattimore and Evans just aren't even playing football. They're just tackling each other. It's so ridiculous every time. And then my favorite thing is you sub Jameson for one play and he says, let her rip, and just chucks a 40-yard INT. And it's so great. Just one play is all he had.
I would have liked to see Winston play that game just to see how they did. But I forgot for a second who they played. Baker Mayfield looks legit again. He made the Saints defense not look great. That's the first team that's actually done well against the Saints defense so far this year. And Baker was playing very well. And what are they? What's the record? 3-1 now? Yeah. So if Carr continues to play like he is, the Falcons QB stuff, I think the Bucs could quickly pull away in this division.
And they flex that Lions game with them next week to the 425 slot. Yeah.
You know why they flexed that? You got to get the creamsicles on TV. The creamsicles. They're wearing the creamsicles at 4 o'clock. Yeah.
It's gonna be nice.
That's gonna be a beautiful looking game. All right, now I got one more. I got two more things from the 1 o'clocks, and we don't have much on the rest. We have a little bit on the rest of the slate, but the Bengals obviously in deep trouble. From a fantasy standpoint, you have to wonder: if the Bengals continue to struggle and their schedule does not let up because they have the first place schedule, I think you could see this could result in Burrow getting set for a while. He probably should have been set for the first 4, like Jamar Chase said. But
he should have.
Obviously, I mean, this is not great. But from a fantasy standpoint, that's the only thing I worry about. I mean, I have some Joe Burrow in a few leagues, and it's just awful right now. I guess he's trying to play through. I guess he's trying to rehab the calf while playing, but it's hurting Nixon. You go ahead.
I just looked it up. I had no idea who their backup quarterback was. Do you guys know who it is?
I've got it. Allen?
I got it right here now.
I'm going to say it's still AJ McCarron, which I know
he's on their practice squad. He's on their practice squad. I know AJ's on their practice squad.
It is.
Is he?
Jake Browning.
I was almost right about AJ.
They brought AJ McCarron in last week on the practice squad because they thought there was a chance that he might have to play. AJ McCarron of the Battlehawks. Is he a Battlehawk? I think he's a Battlehawk.
Did we? We didn't see him, did we? Did we see him play in Orlando?
No, we watched. No, it was the whoever won. Daggone.
I don't know.
I can't remember
good old
who
XFL.
the team was. Yeah, good old XFL. And the only other thing I have, Mega Power. Anthony Richardson looks phenomenal, but I do have one gripe. I need him to stop doing that jump 360 spike. You're going to get hurt. I feel like he's like thin glass China right now. Just stop jumping up and spinning as it's his touchdown celebration. It's a jump 360 spike, and it makes me very nervous. It's a weird thing to have. It's a Brett Brain thing. I understand. Please stop doing it. Please stop jumping up and spiking the ball on a celebration. I just see it. I just see the leg going when he does it. But
like Stephen Tulloch did with the Lions when he did the what was that little thing that Rodgers used to do all the time? He was mocking it. The little championship belt.
The discount double check?
Yeah. Tulloch did that and blew out his Achilles.
Now, Richardson, I will say this, third in average scoring. He's only 10 points behind the legend CJ Stroud right now on the fantasy scoring season, and he's played 7 less quarters. So let's go. Okay. Let's look at 4 p.m. The Cowboys, of course, dominate the Patriots. It is the worst loss of Bill Belichick's career, yada, yada, yada. Mac Jones looks awful. Bailey Zappi came in.
A genius. He's such a genius, though.
Look, I'm so tired of this discussion, the Belichick or Brady discussion.
I don't care. I will say it till my deathbed. Brady was more important than Belichick was. Yes, they both needed each other, but I'll take the player every day over the coach.
I don't know.
A great player.
I don't think Brady created Spygate or anything. So
yep. I think you need the mastermind.
You know.
Hey,
I think you need the mastermind.
Brady leaves, wins the Super Bowl. Belichick hasn't done nothing since.
Mac Jones is going to be.
I mean, the team collab. Like it's like. I get it. I get it. I agree. I have to agree.
Is he out? Is Mac Jones on the starting? Is he starting?
Yeah, he's going to start. Bailey Zappi. Oh, next year.
Next year.
I think it depends on where the Patriots fall with this draft. This draft with 5 or 3 or 4 or 5 QBs that could go early. I mean, he's not. There's nothing you say about Mac Jones. It's like, oh, that's good. We can build off that. I don't think of anything.
He's getting the reputation too that nobody likes him.
Yeah, he's not even liked.
So, yeah, he's not liked. So
I mean, you got to be. At least Ritter is nice. Like they like Ritter, but he's awful. But yeah, Mac. I mean, they put Zappi in late in the game, but I think it was just because the game was so out of hand.
Yeah,
but
that's what old Bill said.
Yeah. Now, one last thing. I'm just going to throw this out there because I saw it last night. I wanted to put it in the Discord, but I didn't because I was into the Phillies and all that. Devontae Freeman is a legend. Are you all ready for this? Have you seen this, Detroit?
No.
Devontae Freeman is a legend by a like of a tweet that Kyle Shanahan threw Super Bowl 51 in order for Bill to agree to trade him Jimmy G once he was a head coach of the Niners.
That's terrible.
Woo-hoo!
I don't believe that for a second.
I can't believe it.
Come on.
It's just funny. It's Devontae Freeman out of nowhere. Just comes in the mentions. Remember the backpack. Never forget the backpack. Oh. Shanahan told him to miss that block, I suppose. Shanahan told him to miss that block.
Good conspiracy theories, so I'll buy it.
That's right. I mean, all right. Last thing I have on the 4:00 games. Obviously, CMC goes nuclear for 4 touchdowns. I think it's time that the Niners are going to need to start scaling back his usage. I think they're playing with fire a little bit right here.
Yeah, because he has been injury prone over his career. So yeah, I think he's definitely getting too many carries, too many touches.
I mean, I don't know if I like the injury prone label because he had a couple of years where he was hurt, but before that he was like an Iron Man. But I get it. I mean, I understand it.
He didn't play at all when he was on the Zen Masters, so.
Yeah.
He just
I forgot that.
To play.
I forgot that cup of coffee.
When he was on my team. Yeah.
That's a long cup of coffee too.
Yeah. And he may have been a river rat for a little while. So
I think that was a shorter cup of coffee, wasn't it?
And Brett, 2020 he played 3 games. 2021 he played 7, and 2022 he played 6.
And I think I traded for him in 2020.
I didn't know he only got
2020.
He played 17 last year. I'm sorry, it's split up between Carolina and San Francisco.
2 years. Yeah, okay. I was going to say I don't remember him only getting 6 last year. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, my bad.
No, you're fine. But I mean that is what is that? It's a fourth of his career that he's missed substantial time. So I get it. I just think that it's a lot of usage right now. And for the Niners with the history they have, it feels like you're playing with fire a little bit.
I don't care. Just keep feeding the ball then.
Oh, trust me.
Get 'em.
Yeah. I mean,
Get them banged up at the end of the season.
this guy. Here we are. What is that? I mean, what are we doing?
NFC.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh, my goodness. Yeah, we're really looking down the road, aren't we? Oh,
Yeah, I like it.
despicable.
I would too.
I-
I'm looking. The Saints are going to turn it around, so I'm looking at the same thing.
oh my God. I have notes on Sunday night, not much. I mean, Pacheco had his second highest, most carries of his career. He looked good. It's the angry run. It looks phenomenal on tape. It looks phenomenal. Like he's stomping through the ground. Not much else on that game. Zach Wilson, do we think there's any chance he keeps these up and makes Jets players somewhat viable? Is there a chance?
I think there is.
Yeah,
I do too. I think they need to let him sling it a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, you can kind of keep it within your strategy, but you don't have to like throw it 40 times a game. But when you're just running the ball every time on first down, teams could play that very well. So now they know, hey, we got to watch him to throw the ball or whatever. But yeah, I thought he looked good. He looked better than Mahomes.
They got the Broncos this week, right? Yeah. I think he's going to grow some confidence.
Yes. They have the Broncos.
Poor
Yeah,
guy
exactly. It's a great matchup.
Definitely
for him.
needs it. Yeah.
I looked at him in streaming some leagues because it is the matchup that everybody can cash in on seemingly right now. The Broncos.
Mm-hmm.
And Mahomes looked like crap last week.
He did not look good. Some of those picks were as bad as you'll see.
Yeah, and they bailed him out on the last one.
Yeah. You can't throw the flag after the result. You can never do that.
No.
It's so bad.
Can we address the other thing about this game?
If it's what I think it is that we have not addressed yet, because we've done a good job being the
of
only media outlet to not address this.
I don't want to hear it.
Go ahead.
I'm tired of it. Why do we have to care about this?
I just love the convenience of a movie coming out on Friday. So,
oh yeah,
good free commercial.
I told you that they cut from her in the box to cut into Times Square with her commercial in Times Square. I commented on in the Discord in real time. Now, Jason Kelsey did it on the podcast today. It did come out. I just saw a clip of it. It was pretty good because Travis was like, "Yeah, they're kind of overdoing it a little bit," and Jason was like, "No, they're overdoing it. They're doing too much. You're doing too much.
Yes.
It's too much all the time. Like it needs to dial back some."
All right, sorry, I just had to say that.
All right, you're good. You're good. I have one. Okay, I have on here Daniel Jones. Do we think he'll be able to turn it around? Do we think Saquon coming back will have that big of impact that will make him viable?
No. I think the Giants are lost.
I think who's the Giants' best wide receiver been the past 2 weeks?
He had 9 points
last week.
9 points.
The past 2 weeks, who's been their best wide receiver?
Wandale Robinson had 9 points last week. It was amazing. The same 7-yard catch over and over. 1/3 of Hyatt, who Peyton was screaming for. I loved it. I love to see me and Peyton Manning basically the same football mind. Hyatt.
You guys get distracted easily when Wandale is the true gem on that team, and I tried to tell you.
It'll take Hyatt one catch to replace that production. One catch, and that production's forgot about in our little standoff bet.
2-0 with Wandale.
You and Peyton are the same.
We study film the same. We're the same approach.
Yeah.
Real quick, I hate this. This is overreaching. Okay, I understand. Drew Lock looked good to me. The little bit he was in.
He did.
He looked fine. Geno hasn't looked great. Drew Lock looked fine to me. Like if that does have to happen, I don't think they're in that huge a disadvantage if Geno would go down or something like that. I mean, you still roll with Geno, but he did.
Look,
he seemed relaxed.
He seemed ready to go out there. He did.
He did.
I don't hate him as much now.
He still had that little smile, though, Matt. He had that smile. I was like, why are you smiling?
A little dancing on the Broncos in the sideline. Yeah, thankfully they traded him away, and I didn't have
There's our third clue right there.
10 years.
Drew Lock dance, baby. Fired up. All right, that's all I got on the reactions. Do you guys have anything else?
Nope.
All right. We were tradeless in the KDFL this week. We have some murmurs happening. I hear rumblings. My sources tell me there are rumblings of deals being worked. So we'll see what happens.
Oh.
But as of right now, we were tradeless this
Well,
week, so nothing
you-
to report.
Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, we need to hear this.
I can't. I mean, come on, I got to protect the sources. But I mean, there are rumblings. I hear rumblings of QBs being discussed, running backs, and wide receivers.
Oh, so you're so full of it. He hasn't heard anything.
And tight
What do
ends
you
and
mean?
IDP
No.
and kickers.
There have been QB discussions confirmed. My sources have confirmed there have been QB discussions of moves. So just be.
I think
just be,
I'm thinking. I think I'm going to be like Brett and start moving towards. Let's kick out kickers in fantasy.
Hey,
Oh, I know we don't talk about other leagues. The league, the auction league that we do that has the kicker and the defense gone is so great. Not to freaking worry about that. It's beautiful.
It's dumb. We should.
I don't like kickers being gone in the KDFL though, because of all the defensive players. Like I sound even more stupid. Make fun of me. For symmetry's sake, I would add punters to the KDFL. So you have So you have an even 20 starters. It's an even number of starters instead of 19. I expected more pushback there. I didn't get it, so I just kind of have to just keep on rolling. All right.
I think we're both tired and hungry.
All right, let's throw it up on the big board here. We'll click share. Throw her up on the big board. Let's see what game. That's not the first game we have. Let me get the rundown here. Our first game we have. Let's go to the Gamblers. We know the order here. Detroit, you're going to start us off. Then Matt's going to go second, and I'll go last. We have the 2-2, now seemingly red hot Midnight Riders taking on the 1-3 struggling Gamblers. Detroit, take it away.
Yes. When I was looking at this matchup, the one key matchup for the Midnight Riders I'm anxious to watch is Devontae Adams going against his old team, the Packers. See if he just balls out and just has a monster game. For the Gamblers, he's got the Jones brothers as his quarterback. I know they're not really brothers, but Daniel Jones and Mac Jones, not really a good combination you want for your quarterbacks. So with that, I'm going to take the Midnight Riders.
I guess I'm up.
That is true. Yep. It's only episode 6. You really got the swing of it now.
Midnight Rider. Phil is going to have another big game this week. Kyron Williams is the best running back in the league because Sean McVay chose to hate Cam Akers, which has killed all of my fantasy leagues. Wide receivers, of course, way too good for the Midnight Riders. Detroit's still in some of my notes. The Jones brothers QBs are god awful this year. This won't be close. Midnight Riders win easily.
All right. I only have 2 things that I want to look at for this one. We just talked about Zach Wilson does get the Broncos coming off an impressive performance by his standards. The Broncos are the doormat of the NFL on defense right now. We want to see if we can get 20 points from Zach Wilson, that might be a miracle. That would be phenomenal for his confidence and for the Jets' skill position players going forward. And on the Gambler side, what are we doing with Marvin Mims? He's productive every time you get him the ball. I would expect this genius that is Sean Payton to get this man the ball more. So I want to see what the production looks like there. In theory, Sauce Gardner will be on Judy. It should open up Marvin Mims for some more production. So we'll see what happens there. But I'm in agreement with you two. It is the Midnight Riders, and I agree. It is by at least, I'm going to steal Tim's book here and start predicting points. It's at least a 40-point victory. Next, let's go to Hurricane with the Wampus Cats. Wampus Cats hosting the Dogtown Dobermans. And you can see right away by this box there's something very interesting in this matchup. I'll let Detroit take that away.
Yes, the Wampus Cats do not have a quarterback this week, so they're going to be playing short unless that is what you were referring to earlier as maybe they're on the phones working a trade for a quarterback. Otherwise, their only other offensive position is going to be Gus Edwards in his lineup, and I don't like that. The Dobermans, the matchup I'm wanting to see is McCaffrey going against that Dallas defense. Dallas is number 2 in the league right now. So this one, I'm going to take the Dobermans. I don't think it's going to be very close.
Yeah, my pretty much only notes on this one is Wampus Cats don't have a QB starting this week. But even if they do get another QB, I don't know what major QB that they could possibly trade for without giving up some playmakers. I don't see it happening no matter what. Dogtown win this one.
I'm looking at this, and it is ugly. We're in a super flex league with no QBs. That's basically an impossible feat. The matchups that he does have, Algier, Houston. Algier's been on the downward slide ever since that week one. And then Zach Moss against Tennessee. Can't really run on Tennessee. And we might have Jonathan Taylor back. So that could be awful as well. I mean, we're looking at possibly 3 backup running backs in this lineup with no QBs. So the main thing I'm looking for, it's what everybody's talking about in fantasy. Let's see what Joe Burrow has. Let's see if it improves. Let's see if he throws the ball deeper. It's basically the only thing to pay attention to on the Dobermans right now. McCaffrey's going to ball out. He's going to be respectable with the receptions and the rushing. I just got to see Joe Burrow improve something. All right. So now we head to Wake Forest, where the surprise darling of the year so far, the 3-1 Wake Forest Lumberjacks are hosting Matt's 1-3 Nocatee Zen Masters. Detroit, take it away.
Yes. Looking at this, I'm wanting to see Trevor against Buffalo. Trevor's been kind of a disappointing this year. Right now, he's the 18th ranked fantasy quarterback. I expect him to get it going soon. I don't know about against Buffalo's defense, but we'll see. As for the Lumberjacks, I mean, this guy and his draft has looked amazing so far. He's out here throwing out 6 rookies on his offensive roster. 4 of them have been just monsters: De'Von Achane, Puka, and Laporta. So, Matt, I'm sorry to say this, even though you're favored, which I don't understand these projections, because it seems like every week the Lumberjacks are projected at like 200 and they end up scoring like 30 or 40 more points than that. So I'm going to take the Lumberjacks.
So a quick note on Trevor Lawrence. He has not been awful this year. Trevor Lawrence's wide receivers have been awful this year. He's got like 4 or 5 touchdowns that have been dropped, leading the league in dropped catches by their wide receivers. So
yes.
Just an insider note from a Jaguars season ticket member. Anyway, Zen Masters, looking at this matchup, I'm not a guy to admit that I'm wrong occasionally. Maybe I was very wrong about going all in on QBs with Lamar and Trevor. Lamar and Trevor together are barely projected to outscore the greats of Joshua Dobbs and Sam Howell this week, if you look at that QB matchup. Lumberjacks, more notes of Detroit's. Lumberjacks somehow ended up with maybe the 4 best rookies in Dynasty with Bajan, Achane, Zay Flowers, Puka. I didn't even pay attention to Sam Laporta, so maybe 5. Zen Masters, young guys cannot be consistent with Breece Hall, James Cook, and George Pickens. The Lumberjacks win this one.
Oh my gosh. What?
Yeah.
Shocked.
They do.
Look here. There's one thing I'm looking for. We could talk about the Lumberjacks draft. I think there's no choice, but that has to revert back some, because we're talking about the number 6 running back, the number 4 running back, the number 4 wide receiver, a number 2 tight end, and 2 top 36 wide receivers, always rookies. That's nuts. That cannot sustain. It just can't. And I have one notification that came out right after the blast that came out that blew up everybody's phone when the government decided to terrify us all. And it was that the restrictions are off of one Breece Hall. And that's what I'm watching for on this matchup. And he gets the Broncos. I am taking the Zen Masters to win this game because I think it's going to be a lot like week 3, where the Lumberjacks put up like 176 and fell back down to earth. I think we're going to see that again this week. All right. Next, the 0-4 bottom dweller of the league, the Melbourne Mega Powers, travel to Kanawha County. It's an interfaction Dunbarian matchup with the Kanawha County Kings. Detroit, take it away.
Yes. Right now, this is about a 13-point spread. The Kings are favored. The matchup on his side that I want to see is CD Lamb going against that Niners D. For the Mega Powers, Pacheco is what we've seen the last couple of weeks, what we're going to really get from this guy. He's had 16 and 25 points. They're going up against Minnesota, who I'm not sure about their defense, but I don't think it's that great. So I expect some big games for him. And even though you're the underdog, Brett, I am taking you with the upset this week. Mega Powers, get on the board. I'm actually praying that you get on the board because you play me next week, and I don't want your first one to be next week.
Yes. Oh my gosh. The freaking what a pick. What a reason for a pick.
All right, close matchup this week. Both teams need a victory to stay alive. Mega Powers with the much better QBs this week, but I think I saw something earlier. Kenny Pickett is projected to play. I think
Yes.
that's what I saw. So maybe he comes back in the lineup for the Kings. It's not going to be much of a difference as far as projection goes. But Mega Powers projected to lose by 12.3 points. Based on last week's host, I am going to predict, based on the QBs, the Mega Powers win by 17.7 points.
Oh.
Taking the Kings owner's favorite number, 17, and throwing it out there as a margin of defeat. Look, there's one thing I want to watch, and it is Mega Powers' great Calvin Ridley. He has struggled since that week 1. Again, we talked about last week. He got the long touchdown. That was one of 2 targets. It hasn't been good since that week 1 big game. But the Bills will not have White. He's out for the year, so we might be able to see Calvin Ridley move more freely. He's leading the league in drops, like Matt alluded to earlier. The whole Jaguars are, but I think Calvin Ridley is offender number 1 in that category. Very, very unlike him from what I remember when he was in Atlanta. All that being said, it's a rich time in Melbourne. I got to get lucky eventually. I got to get a win. I've never went 0-4. I hope to not go 0-5. Give me the Mega Powers in the win. Now, our semi-main event, the Lion Bowl. It is the Elkview River Rats taking on the undefeated Roxanna Renegades. Who would have thought that these teams would meet at a combined 7-1? Detroit, take it away.
Yes, my team being 3-1 has to be the biggest joke in the history of this league. I have no idea how I won 3.
What a confidence! What are we doing?
I mean, do you look at my roster there? Okay?
I agree, you're the biggest joke in the league, but I just didn't expect it to come from your mouth.
No, I said my team is the biggest joke,
Oh,
not me
sorry,
personally.
misheard.
Okay. Jordan Love technically is the number 3 fantasy quarterback. I have to go with either Derek Carr or Bryce Young as my other quarterbacks. The Renegades, man, they're just a solid roster. I like his Montgomery and Swift have been looking great this year. He's got the number 1 tight end, TJ Hawkinson. I think this is going to be a blowout. I think my team's going to have another one of those 200-point games. So I'm taking the Renegades by 60.
You don't get to 17-7 without keeping it real, do you? All right.
No, you got to. Got to keep it real.
Yep.
I got a little sidetracked. I know I've been on my sabbatical for the past week, but when did we change the division names? I've started last.
I think it's recent. That is very recent. I noticed that today. I don't get the Wheeler Tim $5. I don't get that.
The O'Connell Rules division is the best division.
I got that one. I get the branch one. I don't get the Wheeler Tim $5.
I'm just thinking of Wheeler Bob, the dude from the Power Games. Anyway,
it might be.
That's right. I don't know. I
might
started
not
laughing randomly as Detroit was talking.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, Renegades projected to win with almost every position battle. I mentioned this earlier. Derek Carr needs to get healthy to have any chance of being fantasy relevant for the River Rats. I am personally not a fan of Jordan Love. The Packers do not look good. They should have lost that game against the Saints. They would be 1-3 right now, and people in Green Bay would not be happy with Jordan Love at all. So I would not just look at the stats on that. Anyway, Renegades are 2 stacked. If the Dolphins continue to dominate, Renegades win easily.
All right, I think I'm going to call my shot here on this one. Look at this matchups. I think this is the week. I'm going to go on a limb because the matchup is difficult. I'm going to say this is the week Jahmyr Gibbs outscores David Montgomery. But with that all being said, we all know, I say it every week, no one loves the Renegades more than this guy right here. I got to keep picking him until the wheels come off. We're going to 5-0. All of Dunbar's hopes are with you. Let's go, Renegades. All right. The game of the week. It is a rematch of last year's championship game. And these two teams have started off in very, very different directions. It is for the first time in a long time, 1-3 South Hills Evil Empire being hosted by the undefeated St. Albans Sinners. Go ahead, Detroit.
Ooh, yeah, and the Evil Empire is about a 17-point favorite in this. I said it last week. The Sinners, they're still the number one scoring team, and it's number one points against. So for whatever reason, when people play them, they just don't score. But looking at this matchup, and if the Evil Empire get Cup back, is he going to play a lot? We don't know. How's that role going to be with him and Puka now? Saquon Barkley's still banged up. So I'm not sure about these projections. The Sinners, I don't like the Pollard versus the Niners matchup either. I've been going back and forth with this one. But for some reason, I think the Evil Empire is going to pull this one out. It's going to be close.
Yeah, Evil Empire get some of their depth back, most likely with Saquon and Cooper Kupp. Looking at the Sinners team, I'm not a huge fan of it. Actually, they're four. What are they? 4-0. They're 4-0. I don't know anything.
The number one scoring team in the league.
I mean, my team's terrible, but so yeah, I clearly know nothing. I think this is just based on ageism. I mean, looking at the team, I think all these guys are going to retire in the next year, probably.
Yeah, you're right. You look at those offensive players, and you're like, what?
Yeah, they might all retire next year, and he might have to draft. He might actually have to show up for the draft next year because his whole team's going to retire. But I'm expecting a bounce back for the Evil Empire, and they win a close one this week.
Okay, I'm looking at this, and the depth at running back for the Evil Empire is tough. Of course, this week he would not have had Eckler either anyway, as they're on bye. Jaleel McLaughlin, Jameson Williams didn't practice today. So his projections have gone up. We'll see what we get from that. Still, even if he plays and starts, it's not a good matchup with the Jets. But if Cooper Kupp does play and he gets the Eagles at home, I really think that's very easily exploitable. Also, you get Kittle in prime time versus the Cowboys. That's usually when he likes to show out. I picked against him a lot. He's 4-0, but I'm still going with the South Hills Evil Empire to get the win and keep the Sinners number with a repeat of the championship of 2022. All right, let's stop sharing here and let's come back. All right, boys, that is it for our week 5 predictions. We kept it nice and concise this week, I feel like. I'm real proud of us for how we rolled through things. A little change for the people. A little change this week to how we're doing our upsets. We're tired of looking like idiots with these upsets. They're very difficult, and it just sets us up for failure. So we're going to change something up a little bit. What we're going to do is you could take any team to outright win. It has to be an underdog to outright win. If you get that prediction correct, you get half of the total rounded down or half of the spread rounded down. For example, the Panthers are 9-point underdogs against the Lions. You pick the Panthers to outright win. That's 4.5. You round it down. You get 4 points for that. In addition, the regular picks have gone to be worth 2 points to kind of make sure that they still matter. So, Matt Smith, I'm putting you on the spot. I don't know if you have a Zen quote for us today.
I do. So,
okay. So this is it. You're doing it all right now. You're doing your lock, your dog.
All right, I'll do the lock first.
And your sign off.
Log of the weeks, Ravens -3.5 against the Steelers. It's at Pittsburgh, but Steelers look absolutely terrible. Ravens look great. Lamar's back in MVP form. Upset of the week, I said earlier, the Bears, Justin Fields is going to have another strong performance, +6.5 against the football team Commanders. Give me the Bears. My card of the week, I don't only have the quote, but I also have this beautiful thing right here, if you can see it.
Yep, it is. Goodness
peace.
gracious.
Inner peace begins the moment you choose not to allow another person or event to control your emotions. With that said, don't let this crazy fantasy season get you too far down. It's just a game meant for entertainment. Enjoy the good old days while you're currently living in them. Goodbye, everyone.
Nice Andy Bernard quote at the end. Andy Bernard. Take it away,
love it.
Detroit. Lock, dog, and your sign off, please.
Yes, my lock is the Bills minus 5.5 over Mets Jags. My upset is how about them Cowboys in prime time? I actually think they're going to pull one out, even if it's on the road against that Niners. I got you, Cowboy fans. You're going to do it. That's it for me this week. And Brett, you suck.
All right, real quick. You're going to get mad at this, Detroit, but I have to do this disclaimer. If there were, you know how contrary I am when I bet. I took the Bills last week because the Dolphins were coming off being hot like they were. If I did not have hard invested in this, the Texans have been talked about nonstop. D'Amico Ryans is on pardon my take. I would slam the Falcons at home. Desmond Ritter's never lost at home. I would absolutely slam the Falcons -1 this week if I didn't purposely avoid betting on my own team. With that being said, what line makes me feel the grossest? Because that's the line I'm going to go with. This week, it's the Bengals -3 at Arizona. The Bengals have looked awful. Arizona's looked great. So because I think I don't know anything, let me take the Bengals and give the 3 points and hope that Joe Burrow can figure it out. With the dog, I'm going to go with the Rams over the Eagles. I still don't trust that Eagles secondary, and I think McVay could pick them apart on the turf. And the stealing money parlay this week, we're off to a brutal start. This thing was like 10-4 last year. It's off to 1-3 right now, but we have a fancy little caveat this week. We're going with the Saints plus 11.5. I don't think the Patriots, even if they beat the Saints, can pull away from them. And then I have the Dolphins getting the win over the Giants. And then this is the caveat. If Saquon plays, I want the Giants plus 21.5 on the other end. So those are the three. I want Dolphins money line, Saints plus 11.5, and the Giants plus 21.5. That's -134. If Saquon is out, replace that Giants plus 21.5 with the Chiefs and Vikings over 44.5. And something I haven't got to say yet because I keep messing up. Thank everybody for joining us. Please like, please subscribe to this video. Also, in our YouTube channel description, you can click the link and you can follow along with this league. The league is fully viewable. You can see the transactions. You can keep up with the scores in real time if you want to follow the KDFL on Sunday and watch as the action goes down. So, for Jonathan Detroit Haynes, for the Zenful Matt Smith, I'm Brett Steele, and we will see you here next week on the KDFL Dynasty Football Podcast.